Hey everybody, welcome to episode 18 of Digital Village. Today I've got two good friends of mine, Suzanne and Amanda, and they run Present Mindfulness Academy. So I'm just going to launch into it and ask it, ladies, how did you start Present Mindfulness Academy? Or really, why?
Well, I'm Amanda and this is Suzanne, and I guess both of us everyone is journeying and having their path to lead, and stuff comes up on Facebook all the time, and was looking through Facebook and a sponsored post came up, and I believe there's a reason why it shows up in your life at a certain time, and it was this coaching thing, and I was like, oh, what's this? It's this free thing and talking about living your life on purpose or something like that, and I was a bit like, oh, what is my purpose? I'm not really sure, and I thought, oh, I might check it out. And so I said to Suzanne, you keen? Do you want to go? And she's like, yeah, why not? Let's go and have some fun and see what it's all about. So we went to this life coaching thing, and it opened our awareness into just where we were in life and how our beliefs and our thoughts and our values are affecting how we show up, and how we hadn't learned these tools of self-regulation and understanding who we were. And so what we thought was that imagine what it would have been like, or how we would be right now if we'd had those skills when we were children. And so I said to Sam, I like kids, you like kids, are you keen on, doing something so kids can get this life skill? Because it really is a life skill of being able to understand yourself so that you can move through life instead of reacting to everything in a place of responsiveness. And had we had these skills when we were younger, then we wouldn't be in the space we are now with being angry about things and triggered by our children, and just like not in a place where we wanted to be. And really, it just started with that tiny little conversation. Hey, do you want to do this? And Suzanne's like, yeah. And then we're like, oh, okay, we're doing it. And I guess for us, because we have such a strong connection with our children are our space where we want to be the best that we can be. And I don't think, well, for me personally, I wasn't the best I was being as a parent. And so I wanted to show up differently and wanted to figure out, well, how do I fix myself so I can be a parent? And that obviously led us on to our journey of mindfulness and MBSR courses and further training, and then realizing that, great that we're learning the skills. Now, how do we relay this to children? Because we think it's really important that you learn this at a young age, because then it holds you in good stead no matter what age you are. And so then we started volunteering at schools and just working out where we wanted to go. And, we've gone off track a little bit with like really focusing on mindfulness and sharing that with our community. But that's really helped support us and our practice and the community. And then what it's also done is it's led us into this conscious parenting space, which is where now that we're in it, we're like, oh, this is our purpose, this is where we were meant to be. But we have to go through all the other stuff to get to here. And so now that we're on track, it's sort of like everything we do in this space, it just lights us up. It just feels so right. And we just want to be able to share that with other parents, with other mums that are struggling, because we found that has given us hope. That has made us realise that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We can do this, and we can, share this knowledge. Don't want to hold it for ourselves, because we know what it was like when we were in that place. And so we want to make sure that people get this and people are able to use these tools and skills. And we know it's not an easy journey, but if you're willing to do the work, then you really get the rewards. And both of us have found that within our own personal selves, and then within our relationships, not only with our children, because yes, working well with our children, but all other relationships. It just seems to filter out.
Yeah, it does. I think what was the key for us was the mindfulness. And once we learned to sit with ourselves and do the meditation, we're like, oh, this is actually working. I'm not feeling agitated. I'm actually able to hold and pause rather than react and get upset. And so when we realized the mindfulness was working, we started teaching that. Then we discovered conscious parenting, and that just took us to another level, because we realized this is about self-regulation. This is about emotional intelligence. is about me looking at myself and parenting that inner child, parenting myself before I can parent the child. Because the child comes arrive knowing who they already are. And it's about getting comfortable with all the grittiness and all the chaos and the storms that they pass through us, because that awakens us. That's what we need. We need to be shaken up. And it's unfortunate because a lot of parents don't want to deal with the storms. They just want this perfect compliant child, but it's not like that. It's supposed to be chaotic. And I think that's what I actually enjoy motherhood. I remember the first 5 years I didn't enjoy it. I just was resentful, angry. I was the dragon mum. But now I enjoy it. It's just I see the moments and I go, okay, this is the invitation to show up. This is the invitation to be present, rather than push it away or just say, I don't want to deal with this right now. It's every moment. It's about me having the self-worth, and that's the greatest. Like, because then I know I'm becoming this version of myself, and I've seen both of us transform over the last few years, and it just manifests into everybody, like kids and my family. And all the people that interact with.
I wouldn't expect you to, like, I've been to your meetups, which I love very much. They're exciting. We dance, we move, we meditate. And I couldn't imagine you both any other way. Like, and the
well, we were. Believe it.
And I think it's quite remarkable because it comes from, like you're just saying, all the different events that led you there. One, but two, that you had to go through the dragon mum stage to see, hey, and I know that with myself, I'll catch myself sometimes go, hey, I don't want to be that mum. I don't want to be it. And that probably gets onto one of my things that I wanted to talk about, is that you are really good at about having that gap, that gap before you react. Like, and I've had to learn to breathe into that before there and look at my values. And I would love for you two to explain that a little bit on a bigger level so that people can understand it, about the importance of taking that gap and reflecting on your values before you react to your children and their emotions.
I guess so. Look, it doesn't happen overnight. It has been a process of understanding that is no longer a space that we want to be in. So the first key is like just being aware that, oh, this is what's going on for me, aware that I am yelling, aware that I am feeling anger right now, aware that I am frustrated, aware that this is overwhelming, this is too much. When we become aware of our patterns of behavior and the emotions that are sitting with us, then we can go into acceptance. And what we do is we accept, oh, anger's here right now, frustration's here right now, or sadness is here right now, or overwhelm's here right now. And when we can go into acceptance, then we've acknowledged it, we've accepted it, and we can then go into action. And so action allows us then to have control over how we want to show up, how we want to respond in the place. But that takes time to get to that place where you are responsive and not reactive. So it's really important that you're very mindful throughout this practice. I'm not saying that use this practice is going to work overnight and it's going to be amazing, because no, that hasn't been our journey. And I don't want to come and tell you that, this is wonderful, it's going to be, roses tomorrow for you, because it does take time. And the more that you practice it, the easier it gets and the better it gets. But it's never, I think you've got to remember, it's never going to be 100%. You've got to think about this 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, yes, I'm in it. Yes, I'm remembering. Yes, I'm working. Yes, I'm conscious. And 20% of the time, oh, I'm tired, I'm hungry. I've got my own stuff going on with stress, and I've, just dropped the ball. And pat yourself on the back and say, it's okay today to let that go. Think about the 80-20% rule and be kind to yourself and let go of that judgment. So I guess how we started and how it worked for us was that becoming aware. So, for example, you're at the shops, your kid's having a meltdown, and they're trying to pull things off the shelves. I want this, and you're like, oh my God, and you start feeling that anger. You start feeling, you start feeling it, and you're like, want to shake them, and you're like, stop, and you do the calm voice, Mummy's not going to buy that for you now, and they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going, and you get to the point where I'm just like, you yell, and go, I've said no, this is not happening. So what you need to be aware of is that space and what is going on, so that you can understand where you're going. And what happens is so when you start becoming aware of, oh, I've gone into anger and anger's here with me, then you allow that space to pause, to regulate, to go, okay, anger's here, that's okay, I'm taking my breaths, I'm going to have my space, and then you go into responsive mode. But that, to get that space to starting to understand when you're feeling that and not reacting takes time. So you've got to work backwards. So at right now, all you might be doing is you're yelling and screaming, and as soon as you're aware of yelling and screaming, you stop and you take a breath and you're like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sorry I yelled at you. Mummy was having her own tantrum. I lost my stuff. I wasn't coping very well with the situation, but we need to speak to each other kindly, and I didn't speak to you kindly, so I'm sorry. And then we go on from there and work out whatever the issue is and work through it. And then we can at that time either go through what was going on for us, or we can take that away and deal with it later. And this might go on for a week or two. And then what happens is you get to a place where the incident's happening, the child's in there, they're throwing the things, they're yelling at you, and you get to the point where you're just about to lose it and yell, and you stop and you breathe. And you're like, okay, I'm not yelling this time. Oh, I've caught myself. And you're like, yes, I've done it. You're like high-fiving yourself. You're standing in the shops breathing like a crazy person because you're like, trying to regulate. But, you've done that. You're like, yeah, you've got that power. And and that first time for me, when I awoke and I didn't yell, I was like, felt so proud of myself. I'm like, okay, these tools are working. It's happening. I'm making a difference. And then the next stage up from that is when your children are yelling and doing that, you start checking in and you feel it in your body. You feel that tension rising. So you don't get to the point where you want to yell because you've already checked in and you're like, okay, I need to regulate right now. I need to figure out what's going on for me and why this is triggering me and what's happening. And then you get to a space where you clear that out, and then, you work with your child. And then you get a space where your child's having the tantrum and you're just laughing and smiling. You're like, oh, I see it. And I see it with empathy. He really wants this. And, I remember when I was a kid and I really wanted something and I wasn't going to get it. And he doesn't have any control. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any power. And that's what he's doing right now. And so you sit and you comfort and you empathize, and it doesn't get to a place where you feel triggered at all.
Yeah, you start to realize it's their experience, it's not yours. You're just the witness, you're the observer. And if you can learn to practice the detachment and just witness it from a distance, that makes it a lot easier, because all of us as parents, we get caught up in their story, in their drama. We want to fix it. We get so enthralled in trying to, okay, well, I can't get it, and then you're trying to argue for your limitations, and then before you know it, you're part of the drama. But if you can stand back and go, okay, my child's having a moment, they're fine. That tantrum has nothing to do with me. They're upset. That's what shows up when they're calling us to say, I need help now, because I don't know how to deal with these emotions. And so it's our job as parents to go, if we can practice the self-regulation ourselves and the emotional intelligence, then we'll start to model it, and then our kids will go, oh, that's what I need to do, rather than have a rant and lose it and pick our lip. So it's hard to watch the first few times because you just want to step in there, but it's holding back and saying, I'm here for you and I'm loving you unconditionally through this storm. I'm sitting in the trenches. I'm going to watch this, and I've still got your back, and I'm still here for you. And then they come out of it, and then you quickly just go to connect, collaborate. It's not even about the correction or the punishment or the shaming of that behaviour, but rather, what happened? What could we do next time? What were you needing? Because that's what the child is doing. Their body's just contorting and changing shape, and they're screaming and shouting because they're saying, I don't know what to do. Something's come through. This feeling, this emotion is so strong. Mummy, Daddy, help them. Rather than us push them away, we need to connect with them so they know that we love them unconditionally through that different emotion.
It's so powerful that you both say that, because what I hear, particularly for the mum, I tried to do the process, and my awareness came from reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And then I would sit in a lot of judgment because I wasn't in the right place of where he was, and he's telling him this lifetime experience, and I'm expecting to do it right away. So I love the fact that you just gave us permission that it's a process, and and don't judge yourself, but to celebrate. Like, I realize, like, my son's about to turn 2, and I should celebrate the fact not just his birthday. Like, I've been rearing a child, for years, and all the things, and I've evolved, like, in such a radical way. And one of the decisions I've made recently, which is scary, is I'm going to have a second child. Like, my husband and I've had the conversation. But what I find really amazing about it is because our children, and you both know this, they're our teachers. And so to have one child radically shift me, well, to have a second one, well, what's going in there?
And they'll be completely different.
Yeah.
You've got numerous kids between you, and you have to say each personality is different. And I suspect that you treat each one different in each scenario when they have a meltdown. Is that correct? Like, you can't treat one exactly the same as another.
It doesn't work. Yeah, we respect and honor their essence. That energy that shows up for them, we have to just modify whatever's going on for us to suit the child. You can't use the same. The child is the book. The child is the instruction manual, right? So that's what it is. Don't worry about the books. Your child is here to instruct you. You just got to be able to watch. It's a dance. It's almost like a dance. You're actually watching, observing, showing up, being present, meeting where they're at, both emotionally, mentally, and just waiting. And then you're having a conversation. Because if they're offline, there's no point in reasoning. You just got to wait for that to pass. And then when they're sort of calm and you're just having that one-on-one, then you start to talk about it. But when they're offline, you just have to just sit through it and wait.
I want to jump on that. Can you elaborate that? Because I love that you have that, like, they're offline, because we all go offline. But I'd love for you to elaborate, what do you mean by offline?
You'll love when you do.
Okay, so offline. Okay, so I guess you need to have a little bit of an understanding of how the brain works in relation to this. So we have the brain here. So down the bottom is the stem of the brain, and that's just all your survival mechanisms. So, heart beating, your body pumping blood around it, do all the things that it's doing for you to survive. You don't have to think about it, automated systems. Then what you have is in the middle of the brain is your amygdala center, and the amygdala is your emotion center, your fight-flight center. And then at the top is the prefrontal cortex, the front of the brain, this part up here, which is your logic, thinking, creative, all that type of stuff. Everything you do to think and make and create and imagine happens here at the top of the brain. Now, when your child has a heightened emotion, what happens is that amygdala triggers. And so we call it flipping the lid. And so this emotion center goes online, which means your thinking, your logic, your creativity, your understanding goes offline. Yeah, so you flip your lid, you're offline, and that means that when you're offline, if someone's talking to you, so when you talk to your kids, and we do it all the time, you say, it's okay, just calm down. Now I know that you're upset, but what about, we do this or we do that, and we try and negotiate, we try and explain, we try and tell them, you shouldn't be sad, you shouldn't be this, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And, we're trying to give them tools to try and understand what they're going through. But they can't hear you because that part of the brain is offline. The part that understands that language is not available to them. So what we have to do is connect with this amygdala, this emotion center, and we have to talk in emotions to them because that's all they can hear in this moment. And then once we talk to them in emotions and say, understand that you're angry, anger feels like this, is anger sitting in your body, is your body feeling tired, and you're talking about that, and you're talking about why they're angry, just acknowledging it and understanding it and validating it. What happens is that center then starts calming down. It starts getting smaller and smaller because it feels like, there's no danger here anymore. Because emotion to kids is a sign of danger, and so that's why you're flipping the lid, because it's going into this, something's wrong here, stress, I need to survive. And what happens is the brain, the front part of the brain, uses so much of our power and our energy to do things that when there's a stress response in the body, what it tries to do, it tries to save all the energy it can to just survive. So it can't have that part online because it's taking up too much of your energy, of your resources, and you've got to get out of this dangerous situation. Your kids body and brain, and even adults, don't understand the difference between stress from a strong emotion and stress from a lion trying to kill me. It just feels the stress and then it triggers. So when we calm this area down, then the brain slowly comes back online. And then what we can do is we can talk to the children and say, okay, well, now that you've calmed down, what can we do better? How can we sort this problem out in a better way next time? And you can talk about their emotions and why their emotions are there and what caused it and why they think why that occurred. So you can go to an outcome that next time they're in it. They still may do this, but each time as you acknowledge and validate, this period of this being offline gets smaller and smaller. So, and then they start realizing, oh, mum is there to support me, mum is there to help me, and so the time it takes them to calm down shortens. And then at some point, they don't flip the lid anymore because they start feeling it in their body. They start knowing because we've talked about it. We've used this language with them. We've explained to them how their brain works. And this is such a great tool to use with kids because it's visual and they understand, oh, this is your emotion center we talked about this at the last meeting. This is where the barking dog lives. And when the barking dog's excited or angry or sad, it barks really loud or it howls or it cries. And so the top part of the brain where our wise old Ab lives, where it makes decisions, he can't be there because he's too scared. So he flies away and the dog takes control. Now the dog doesn't listen. The dog doesn't, he's so excited, he's jumping or he's growling and he's doing it so loud that no one understands what he's doing. So we have to pat the dog and we have to calm him down and let the owl come back so we can think. And when you use that language and use this with your child, then you can explain when other people go offline and they say, my friend did this today or the teacher did this today. And you go, oh, well, guess what? Their dog started barking, their brain went offline, and they start understanding emotions. They start understanding self-regulation. And then they know that there's not something wrong with them. Because what they're thinking now and what we're projecting to them, what most people are, there's something wrong with you. You need to calm down. You need to be quiet. You need, So this explains that there's nothing wrong with you. All humans do this. All of our brains work like this. It's a matter of having tools to help you so that you don't get so out of control so you can get your brain back online.
I love that quote. It's, you've got to name it to tame it. So by naming that emotion, what's here with you, you immediately calm down the brain because the brain goes, oh, you know what's going on. You're angry or you're upset or you're scared. So you recognize it and then it just starts to self-soothe because it recognizes that you've woken up. You're aware that something's here, some feelings within you. So I always say name it to tame it because once you have that control, then you start to govern your brain and say, okay, I know what's going on here, and that's all part of the self-regulation. Like if you start with the kids young, then they start to practice that behaviour, and then they'll be able to go, oh, I'm feeling anxious right now. Oh, okay, I need to do it. Find my breath, take a deep breath in. So they're just learning themselves how to self-regulate, and that builds up their emotional intelligence.
I'm excited for two reasons. One, to show it to Xzeeon because he started doing hot. I didn't talk to my husband. So what do you hear what I mean? I'll teach you, but I'll just go like this. And then I'll go like, and then it'd be cool because God bless my husband. He wants to fix everything. And I just want to name it. I love it. Name it to tame it. And to even teach that, because that's what happened today. It's really, I've had a troublesome day with Xzeeon, which is okay. And I love that I learned from the both of you is about go with what is, like accept what is, because I used to get around my house and be resentful, kicking, hitting, like emotional regulation coming into play. There you go. My brain's offline. and being quite resentful to my son energetically picks up on that. So therefore he can't relax to sleep. So it becomes an escalated event. But what I learned as such a really big thing, and I'd love for you to explain it more, is about accepting what is, like accepting what is. And therefore I found once I accept what it is, it magically shifts.
Yeah. I think for me, with the as is, it's about becoming present. Because when you're starting to go, I want this and I want that, and why is this always happening to me? You're already offline. You're actually created a future story for yourself. You're not being present. So when you accept the as is, that brings you right here to the here and now, and you cannot change it. You cannot fix it. You cannot control it. You just got to go with the as is. You've got to go with the least resistance. And that's really hard for most of us because we want to resist, we want to fight it. It's that push and pull that we start to have within ourselves. But I mean, kids are the perfect example. They live in the moment. They're always in the as is, they're always in the present. And it's hard for us as parents because we get uncomfortable when they're doing something that we find, oh, that makes me a bit eerie, or that's a reflection of me, and it's making me look like a bad parent. Please don't be upset in public, or please don't have a tantrum. But it's about going, okay, the tantrum is here, or they're having their moment. Because when you do that, you're meeting them where they're at. And that's what they're asking us to do. They want us to meet them where they're at all the time, show up and be present. So the as is to be present in the moment. And that's everything around mindfulness. That's what it is. It's about accepting the as is, what the feelings are showing up, what's my thoughts, what's going on in my body, what feelings, what tightness am I feeling? Is my heart rate changing? Oh yeah, my breathing's changing. I'm getting sweaty palms. Whatever it is, it's just being fully immersed inside the body and recognizing this is the as is. And I'm not going to think anything about the future or anything about the past because that means I'm in conflict with my reality. So the reality is here and now. And when you start to do that, it gets a lot easier. It does, because then you're just like, okay, I have to drop everything what I want to happen, and I'm just going to be with what is.
And there's 3 as is that you need to accept when you're in that situation. So the first one is you have to accept this is actually happening. They're having a tantrum and this is happening right now. Okay, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like it, but I'm accepting that this is a situation that I'm facing. Then you have to go into yourself and accept the as is of, what is this bringing up for me? What am I feeling right now? How is this making me be present in this moment? Is this, making me want to react and behave in a certain way? And why is that? Where has that come from? Sometimes you don't have the time to go into depth with that, but it brings an awareness to this behavior is triggering something in me. I need to regulate right now, and maybe I can take this moment and meditate on it later or work through it later if I can't right now have the time to work through it. But it is a process of learning and understanding. And if you start accepting that, oh, okay, this is a risen, I need to work through it, there's some deep-seated stuff here that I haven't dealt with, then at least you can regulate and say, okay, I'm okay, I can be online right now, I can sort that stuff out later. And then you have to accept the as is of your child. My child is really distraught right now. They're really upset that they can't have that toy, or their brother has hit them, or whatever it might be, and accept that that is their emotion and this is the way that they're expressing it. When you can accept all of those 3 things, it brings you into the present and it allows you to regulate yourself. It allows you then to connect with empathy to your child, and it allows your child then to feel understood, so that they can calm and feel in a better place and feel understood and validated. They don't go away with feeling guilty. They don't go away with feeling shame. They actually feel like, oh, it's okay to express my emotion, and mum's there to help me understand them.
Yeah, well, this is the safe space, the home. So this is the learning ground for all of us. And I think when things show up for me, it's like, okay, that lesson hasn't been learnt, Suzanne. Why does that keep coming up? So it's about me meditating, or I might journal it. But I do a lot of self-growth. It's a daily practice. That's part of the commitment when you do this conscious parenting. The discipline, really. It's always checking in, always looking within. Because when you start to become the best version of yourself, then your kids start to, oh, okay, mum's less shouting now, something's shifted. This is good. You know, and that's when you know you're doing the work, when they actually can say to you, oh, you're not shouting as much these days. Like, not like that mum over there, mum. And it's like, oh, I'm doing the work. So it's that willingness to say, okay, I can feel something and I need to reflect on this later. Yeah. Why is this bothering me so much?
Yeah. What I probably expect, because your children are a little bit older, like different age groups, is that with you doing that reflection and looking as is, that they feel more comfortable to come to you about everything that is going on in their lives as well. Is that true? Like once you're in that place of non-judgment, that they have a safe place to be 100% of them.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, definitely. Like a prime example, the other day, my daughter sort of came into my room and she goes, I need a chat. And I'm like, oh, okay, which is very unusual for her. She not really a big chatter. I'm like, oh, okay, that's, and she couldn't verbalize what she wanted to say. So she had written it all down. And so she wrote it down and she sort of gave it to me, and she was a bit uncomfortable giving it to me, but I think because I have built that safe space, I have let her know that she can have her emotions or her thoughts or feelings and not be judged and not be shamed and not feel guilty. She felt quite able to share that with me. I don't want to go into detail with what she shared, but it was some deep personal stuff, around growing up and turning into a teenager and stuff like that. And I was actually really surprised with what she shared with me, because I wasn't expecting that at all. And, some of the things was things that I needed to check in with myself as to like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I am doing that. And yeah, that isn't cool. So let me work on that. And then other stuff was, oh, wow, I didn't know that's how you're feeling. Not related to me. I'm here to support you through that. Just let me know what you need. But had I not been doing this work, she might have not, and I'm pretty sure she probably wouldn't have felt comfortable to share those, to be so vulnerable and open with what she did share with me, because she would have thought, oh, mum's just going to judge me, or mum's going to, not listen, mum's going to, just avoid it or pretend it's not happening, or like make light of it. Because that's what we do. We use humor, we pretend it's not happening, we're like, oh, you'll be all right, type thing. But because we've held the space and we've held the emotions, and they can see, my kids see I'm doing the work too, because I am doing the work, and I tell them, mum's not having a good day, I've got to do it. And my daughter goes to me, she calls me up all the time and says, mum, you're not, I thought you shouldn't be yelling because you're supposed to be mindful, or your brain, mum. And I'm like, you know what? You are so right. My brain is offline and I don't care right now. Just leave me alone.
She's consciously aware that she's offline.
Yeah. I'm consciously aware. And I go and hide. I hide in my room and they still find me. And I'm like, I'm offline. Why are you telling me? And I'm like, because I'm going to do the work, because there's still work there for me to do. But, I so 100% believe that when you hold that space for them and allow them to have those emotions, and you sit with empathy through those storms, it then leads to them being in a place where they can come and share their vulnerability with you, because they know that there's no judgment, there's only acceptance and understanding.
Yeah, and that's what we're striving for in our conscious parent, is to see through the eyes of where we're not going to judge them. We want them to know that we love you unconditionally, we accept you as you are. Because that's what we're doing. We're working on ourselves every day to love and look at myself as I am. So they see the dark side, the shadow of me, and it's like, this is who I am. Love me as I am, and I love you just as you are. So yeah, but I've definitely had a few moments where you're not being very mindful, Mum. And I'm like, oh yes, I know. And then I have to sort of check in, because I see myself, I'm offline. But it's good. I'm glad they pulled me up on it. I actually say thank you for telling me that, because I need to be told that. Because I want to show this and present it. I need to practice every day. But I mess up. I laugh about it. I move on. I don't let it pull me down. Just get on with it.
And that's where you've got to really go into self-love, self-compassion, and self-care. Because if you're not doing those things, and you're going, oh, I'm so bad mother, I'm still getting it wrong, that's not serving you, and it's not serving your children. Whereas if you can go, yeah, you know what, I'm human, I made a mistake today, and that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day, I can try again. And that's the mindset you want to go in with these practices, because they're not practices that happen overnight. They take time. You've got to remember, your brain has created this neural pathway. And it is like, I call them like ones that are strong, like these super freeways. They're like 5 lanes wide, they're, you know, fully cemented, they've got bright lights on them, and you're flying down those neural pathways. But these new pathways that we're creating of being conscious, of being aware of, I'm yelling right now, that's like a little dirt road with grass overgrown and potholes and trees, and so hard to get down that road, so hard. But what happens is, over time, as you start veering off the freeway, you start going down those, you know, dirt roads, and then those dirt roads start building. They start, you know, you start clearing out the trees, you start filling in the potholes, and then they start becoming the norm. But we've had those super freeways for me, you know, over 40 years. So how can I expect not to be traveling down that without doing the work, without coming back, and without reflecting? And without judgment, because if I keep judging myself, I'm not going to go down that path. I'm going to feel bad about myself. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm living in the guilt and the shame. And we're trying to teach our kids not to live in that. So we shouldn't be doing that to ourselves. Because, you know, we're trying to model behavior that we want them to model. And if we're modeling guilt, then that's what they're going to feel about themselves.
That's right. You're making me think of like my internal dialogue is a reflection. I know I catch it. My mum's thought the same way. I know it. I absolutely know it. And if I want to stop that cycle, I have to have that self-love and that self-compassion, because our children, there's mirror neurons in our body, and they're organically picking up from you, your energy, your body rhythms, your thoughts, your everything. Because my belief is, and I think it might be science backed, but anyway, when I think something's true, it's true. But you know, like, they energetically pick up on, they know what's going on. They can read us. I reckon they're mind reading, like, because they're so in who they are. And I suspect that's your experience too, and you're articulating it beautifully. And could you tell us, like, 3 ways that someone could be, they're completely new to this, show themselves self-love and self-compassion? Just 3 simple things they could do today without even leaving their house. I'll probably put you on the spot, but
Do you want to take it?
Meditation.
Maybe what's your top one, and I'll do my top one.
My top one, I love going for my morning walk. That's my favourite thing.
Yeah.
Just have that quiet space in nature. And it's only a 15-minute walk, but it's just a beautiful walk where I'm just grounding myself. I think for me, it's how you start the day sets the tone for the rest of the day. And when I started meditating the first thing in the morning, not checking into what's happening in the world and social media, just putting on the headset, listening to a 10 or 15-minute meditation, the day, I actually get up early. I actually beat the alarm. It wasn't about hitting the snooze button and going, oh, another work day. I actually look forward to the day, and I do a lot of affirmations, like today's going to be a really good day. Things are always working out for me. So I do a lot of self-talk about affirming how I want the day to be. But yeah, definitely, I probably spend an hour on myself just on self-care. I like to fill up my cup.
Yeah. And
for some people, like, how do you do it? But it's like, I don't watch TV. I eliminate what doesn't nourish me, and I do things what does nourish me. And I value myself enough to prioritize that I need to do my meditation. I need to do my walk. I need to journal, because that makes me feel good. And then by me filling up, I'm abundant throughout the day. And you can knock me over a little bit, but I just get back up. I don't go down, down, down where I'm depleted. So I know that with the kids, it's just different energy in the house, because when we used to leave the house, it was all screaming and shouting, I'm going to be late, and I was like always worried. Now it's just so calm. Like, I actually go, wow, this is really peaceful. Every morning there's no screaming, just you've got to do this now. There's an open dialogue, and things are just working out for me. I don't know. It's the laws of attraction perhaps, but that's, for me, that's how it works. And I know it works because I see it's just beautiful. It's just very harmonious every morning. There's no chaos, and it just changes the whole dynamic. When I started working on myself, that changed everything. So yeah, meditation, walking, journaling. That's my top.
Look, it's really about finding something that nourishes you. because those three things you might think, oh my God, I'm not really interested in that. We always believe meditation is key to self-care, and we're big believers that even if you hate it, just try 2 minutes. Just try 2 minutes each day. What meditation does is it allows your parasympathetic system to turn on, and it allows you to go into a space of rest, restore, and peace. And this is what you want. We're so busy, particularly as mothers, we're on the go, we're thinking, we're planning, we're doing, you've got to remember all the appointments, you've got to remember, got to get dinner, I've got to do the cooking, I've got to do the cleaning. And if you're working on top of that, you've got to do all your work stuff on top of it. So there's a lot of hats that we juggle as mothers, and if we don't spend this time on self-care and self-love, what happens is our cups get really empty, get really depleted, and then we turn into those angry, yelly dragon mums. So, if you don't want to be an angry, yelly dragon mum, then filling up your cup and nourishing yourself is really important. But it's finding what is nourishing for you. And it's really important that you use positive nourishment, because having a glass of wine is a form of numbing the pain. Hiding in the cupboard eating chocolate is a form of numbing the pain. Buying stuff online and shopping and is a form of distraction. If you're doing something that is a temporary hit, a temporary fix to make you feel better, then it's not a form of nourishment. So you need to really distinguish between those two. Is what is really nourishing my soul and filling my cup up and actually improving my life, as opposed to I just need a hit to feel good. I'll just drink this wine and I'll feel better. And then tomorrow I'll just drink 2 glasses of wine to feel better. And the next I'll just drink 3 glasses of wine, So it's not actually fixing or nourishing anything. It's just hiding from it, and you're thinking it's a form of self-care. Not saying that going out with girlfriends and having a glass of wine isn't nourishing, because that could be something you really need, but it's not using it as a what's the word?
As a quick fix.
As a quick fix, as as a distraction from what's actually going on. So really thinking about what nourishes you, and then trying to find a way to implement it into your day. So obviously we both say meditation. We both do meditate, and I think that key that Suzanne said was the way you start the day is really key to how your day unfolds. And both of us have a morning practice because of that. And I don't get to walk. I don't have a beautiful park like Suzanne does opposite our house, but I do my meditation, I do my Reiki, I do my yoga practice, and I actually at the moment I'm doing this really beautiful gratitude practice at the moment. And so each day I'm counting my blessings and I'm writing down all the things I'm grateful for, and then I'm checking into my heart space and I'm saying thank you for each of those. And so I'm waking up, I'm nourishing myself as I'm doing my meditation, sitting in peace. And sometimes it's not always peaceful because the mind is racing with things you've got to do, but I'm taking that time out. I'm healing my body with my Reiki, and then I'm using positive, Suzanne's using affirmations. I'm using this positive mindset to start my day, but all the things I need to be, all the things I'm grateful for, and all the positives in my life, because we forget about all the positives. And if we're starting from a place of calm, of a place of positivity, then that leads throughout the day, and then that's what we attract. And Suzanne's right, the mornings have changed for me and for my family. I hated the mornings. It was the worst period of my day. I dreaded it. And this is why I would wake up. Oh my God, it's the morning. I've got to get the kids, And so I wake up in that place of negativity, and then it would just escalate and escalate and escalate. Now I'm changing that cycle, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I go in with a different mindset. I go in with, this morning routine is going to flow. It's going to be easy. The kids are going to get up. They're going to be happy. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get ready for school. We're going to go out. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But the key difference is I'm different during that time. I'm not active anymore. I'm not getting stressed anymore, which means that they're not getting stressed. They're not getting reactive. They might be running around, but there's not this, this heaviness in the air, this anger, this frustration of, you know,
the push and pull.
Yeah, push and pull, the resistance. That's not there anymore. And, you know, my daughter, because I had systems in place to get them ready. So when it's time to leave, a song starts playing on my phone and they hear the song. And sometimes my daughter, she's like, oh my God, I don't have enough time. I said, you have plenty of time. Everything is okay. Whereas before I was like, yes, you need to hurry up and get your stuff done. Hurry up and do that. We've got to go. So I was coming from that place. Whereas now I come from a place, you've got plenty of time. It's okay. So then she's like, oh, I've got plenty of time. It's okay. And then she might still be a little bit stressed, a little bit heightened, but she actually goes and actions what she needed to do. But before, because she was in that state of stress, now I was in the state of stress, she'd freeze. She went into freeze mode. And then I'm getting more stressed. You need to move. She's getting more stressed. Oh my God, I'm running out of time. And that was leading down to these horrible mornings. So I'm not saying that the mornings are going to be peaceful and wonderful and everyone's, you know, it's like a meditation space. No, there is still going to be people coming and going and that movement, you know, busyness. But I'm in a better place with it. So it is a calmer environment, and I like the mornings more than what I used to, and I'm in a positive space, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. And I can say that too. Since, you know, when you have a newborn, things are hard, you don't know what's going on. And I remember, and I was even spiraling into depression. And then I sort of thought, well, I'm going to do what I used to do. I used to get up early and meditate, you know, and get up and then I started doing it up and meditate, and then starting to do the things that I like to do to make myself feel good. And you're so right. When you have something filling your cup, and I agree so much, when my cup was full, well, it didn't really worry me. And then there's some days that things will come into play. Xzeeon wakes up before he's meant to. And then that I haven't got my cup full, I'm in this reactive state, and where I can say the things escalate to be bigger problems than what they actually are. I don't have that clarity to sit in there and say, hey, you know, it's going to work out. And I also, even when you get in the car, you know, you're agitated, you don't tend to get every red light. And now, since I've implemented, it's like miraculously the green lights have come. But if the red light comes up, I just sit in it and go, okay. Whereas I was always rushing, and I think a really, really big believer in morning routine. And I love the fact that you talked on about social media. Like, a good friend of mine doesn't even go on to her social media account till midday. She said, I'm not filling my mind with any of that until 12 o'clock. And I've realized with myself, because I utilize social media for my job, I can get an agitated state from being in social media. And there's a lot of algorithms that are in play to manipulate your mindset of how you feel, and you know, and I wonder, because I know some of your kids are a little bit older, do any of your kids have social media, or do you not have them introduced to that as yet? Or how do you navigate the conversation? Like, it's hard to in a world where
so I'm much more stricter on this than Suzanne is. And so I'm a bit of a Nazi on social media. So none of my children have social. I do have a teenager, she's 10, 13, and there's no social media for her. She does have a phone because she needs it, because she captures forward, and I need, and that's a fear of mine. I need her to feel safe, so I'm willing to give you a phone. But had she been, I've been driving her and dropping her from school, I probably wouldn't have given her her phone yet. And that's because they do access social media, they do access those things. So I've had the talk with my daughter. I've explained to her what social media is, what social media does, and that, you know, and I say to her, look, you know what, I didn't use social media right when I first got it, and I was an adult, you know, and I say, and I apologize to my children. I say to them, look, I posted your life online. I didn't have your permission to do that. And, you know, I've given, you know, photos of you, I've talked about you and done all those things that I haven't got any permission from you to do that. And so when someone Googles you, they know about you already. They know who you are, you know, because we don't have an understanding that once it's there, it's there. It cannot be removed. And so I'm very, very mindful of what I post about my children now. And if I do post someone, I ask them, I say, so my daughter went into year 7, and I said, look, people want to see you in your uniform. They want to see you, you know, are you happy for me to post a photo of this on Facebook? And she said, yes, that's fine. But in saying that, does she have a true understanding of what I'm actually doing? She's only 13. She doesn't know what social media is. She doesn't realise that's there for life. anyone who Googles her now knows she went to that high school. And if that high school's bad or that high school's good, people automatically get a judgment about her. And so it's really important. So for me, because our kids' brains aren't fully formed, and they say girls' brains are fully formed around 23, 24, boys are a little bit older, 26, 27, and so if their brains aren't fully formed, how are they making these important decisions, which I'm still working through, which I'm still understanding myself? So for me, it's sort of like I explain it, and I explain the reason why I don't want her to have it. And then I said, do you need it? And she said, no, I don't need it. So when it gets to a point where she says, Mum, I really want it and I really need it, then I will have a further discussion. Apparently there's, I've been looking on stuff, there's digital licenses they can get so they can understand how to connect digitally, where their information's going, how their information's used. I don't even fully understand where my information's going or used. So I don't have those tools to give to her. And it is now a digital society, and it is now all on there for everyone to see. And I really need to get my head around it and wrap my head around it so that I can give her all the tools so she makes the wisest decisions. So I am very mindful of that, and I'm a bit strict on that. Is one of my boundaries, and it is a strong boundary. But yes, everyone's boundaries is different, and how you want your child to have. I've got friends who have the kids with and I have no issues with that. If that's what they choose for their journey and their child, then that's fine. I'm not judging anyone whether their kids are on it or not. For me personally, it's heavy, and I just cannot. I can't get my head around it to get her in that space yet safely. But what's your
they don't have social media accounts, but they just like to game, I suppose. So yeah, but for him, I just allow him to have a bit after school, but he's quite self-motivated, so I don't have to tell him to do homework. He just does it. My daughter just likes to watch reality stuff like YouTube clips, so she doesn't really have a license. Yeah, but yeah, you make a very good point. It's very new to us. We didn't grow up with that, so sort of getting our head around what does it mean to be digital. What message are we putting out there? We have to understand it a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm really glad you hit me. I'm going to go back and evaluate my situation, because I know my husband's always talking about, I'm very open about my life. There's nothing coming up. Whereas my husband's like that. So you've given us a very good talking point. I really appreciate it, Amanda. It's good, because I really need to reflect on it, because it is their future and we're broadcasting it to the world, and we need to have a conversation. One, they don't understand it, but two, like you said, well, are they going to regret it later in life that we put these photos up here? Because there's some people that, I think it's in innocence, put up photos of their children that are naked as well. And it's a bit where you know your friends to a certain extent, but you don't know them, and people can access and save your images off Facebook. It's very easy to get somebody else's image.
And that's the thing is no one's doing it with any harm or ill will or anything like that. You're just sharing your life, and that's what I was doing. I was just sharing my life. Oh, look, this is happening, and I wanted people to know the journey I was going through. But I guess as time's gone on, and I've started researching and started doing things, I've sort of my awareness around it is sort of oh, hold on a second, something doesn't feel right here, and I feel like I'm pushing the boundaries of what my child's needs are and what they're, I've got a control over their life in a sense, and I don't want them to feel powerless, to feel like, well, why did you do that to me, Mum? Why did you put all that up? I never gave you permission, type thing. So it's just something to be mindful of when you are thinking about posting or thinking about putting your stuff online. Particularly us as yourself and us, because our businesses is around our parenting, is around our journey. And so we do use those experiences with our community, because we want our community to understand, okay, I'm going through this too, this is my journey, and this is how I'm dealing it. These are the things I'm dealing with it. It's okay, I think, before I was talking about surface stuff about my daughter came to me and stuff like that, but I didn't go into the nitty-gritty, the details of what that that discussion was. So I'm just it's just when you do things, just be mindful of where is that information going? How would I react if someone was posting those pictures of me or saying those things about me? How would I feel about that? And I guess that's where I come from when I'm doing my posts and doing my images and stuff like that.
I love it. It's powerful. It's really. I'm really going to have a conversation about that and reflect upon it. Anyway, I know you two are busy ladies, and I can hear my son is screaming out the front. I can hear Frank trying to be patient. It's all right. It's okay. So, how if people want to get in touch with you, can you tell everybody about how can we go about doing that?
So we've got next Tuesday on
maybe some website.
Oh, our website. So we'll do the website. So it's www.pmacademy.com.au. We have a Parenting with Presence workshop next Tuesday on the 15th of October at Williamstown Community Centre. And that's at 7 o'clock. So that's a free workshop for you to hear about conscious parenting or what our beliefs are around it, and we do a bit of meditating so you get to feel it. We talk about self-care, we talk about the 3 A's that we just mentioned before. And then we've got our course, the 4-week Parenting with Presence course that also begins at Williamstown on the 29th of October. So that runs 4 consecutive Tuesdays, and it finishes with a retreat on the Friday, the 22nd of November. So it's a beautiful journey for mums to say, yep, I'm ready to work on myself. I'm ready to do the self-growth and understand myself so that I can better connect with my child. So that's a really empowering sort of journey. If you're ready for it, definitely connect with us. And we also run courses in Frankston, but that will obviously begin in the new year because we're just finishing off term 4 now. And then we're also trying to work out our next meetup group. So we've got meetup group in Frankston on the first Thursday of November. That's in the evening for parents to just come. And if you're new to the scene, it's free. You just get to meet us at the garden in Frankston. And then we'll look at doing a dinner or some sort of catch up in December so we can bring all our community together.
So when I post this on Facebook, can you make sure that you put all the links on the bottom? So each one for each thing so that people can navigate it in a really great way to make it easy and convenient. And then when I put on other social media, I'll make sure I've got those links with your website, Facebook and so forth so that they can get a hold of you both. But I want to say a huge thank you. Like, thank you really. I love, if anybody wants to go to these events, please do it because I enjoy myself immensely and it's wonderful to be around like-minded mothers that are sharing their experiences and so openly, and that you give us tools of how we can navigate so freely, and it's amazing and it's from your own journey. And so it's a big thank you for coming on the show, but too for what you do. You know, it's life-changing. I know that I've come to 2 meetups now, and in that time I've brought back tools and resources, and my husband says I'm a different mum. Whoa, what, like he keeps thinking what's got, and it's, I was trying, the funny thing is I had a conscious awareness of how to do this, but it's really nice to have mentors that teach you how to do it as well and give you it as well. You have to have people around you that allow you to gravitate up to where you want to be, and it's so much easier when you have a community. And that's what I found with you two, and as well as the other amazing mums that come. There's a community, and that we're there for each other.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, that's where we sort of realised, because we didn't have that before for our previous courses, but we always thought there was something missing. What's missing? There's something missing, and it was community. We want to build a community of conscious parents where we can get together and feel comfortable with sharing our wins and our losses and not feel judged, because everyone's in the same space and everyone's parenting the same and trying to work on themselves or work on their relationships. So yes, this is a movement that we want to really get going. You know, even if you don't come to any of our workshops or courses, just come to the parenting groups just to meet like-minded people and connect, because it's really important, because this journey's not easy and there's not a lot of people doing these things, parenting this way, so you can sometimes feel isolated. So it can be a great community to connect with.
All right, I better. Okay, so you probably saw me. I was like, Frank came up. I was like, 2 minutes.
No problem.
He's like freaking out. So once again, thank you, you two. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for everybody that's watching. And like I said, reach out to Suzanne and Amanda. It'd be great. All right. We'll say bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.